Hey y'all, what's up? This is Chad Warren. Hope you're doing good today. I just got done watching a free video by a guy that is named Russ Phi, and he is my mentor in affiliate marketing through my main offer of a product to people that I make money with, which is Quicksilver precious metals. Right, for just like $20, you can start a business, or you can just buy the product. You don't have to start the business. But the point is that it's a smart thing to do to invest in precious metals, because the U.S. dollar is dying, and most people don't even have any money in savings, right? And if you had it in a savings account, that'd be stupid because you're not making any interest. And also, if you have it in precious metals, it makes it just a little bit harder, when you're broke and might have that urge to make a bad decision and spend your savings. It's not hard. You can go to any coin shop and sell it, but you know what I mean? It's just, you can't just go to the store. So it's good that way in developing discipline. Okay, so I'm talking to two different people here. I'm talking to people, really three different people. I'm talking to people that want to work from home, right? They want to make money online, okay? I'm talking to anybody that hears this, sees this post. You're on social media, okay? If you're not using social media to make money or to get people to do something that they want to do and you want them to do, then you are being taken advantage of. Okay? That's just anybody. If you're on here looking at cat videos, then I want you to think of your smartphone and social media. For most people, is about as positive of a thing to do as smoking a cigarette and drinking a Diet Coke and eating a Taco Bell. Now, the third group of people I want to speak to are those who have been interested in talking about politics, talking about conspiracies and occult information that is now easier to find because of the internet, okay? You're in an even worse sickness than just being addicted to cat videos. You're the group of people that should be leaders in your local communities about whatever it is that you care about, and you should be meeting up with those other people and doing something about it. But you're not. You're smoking weed, or even if you're not, you're getting high off of this exposure to new ideas. But the underlying false premise of this alternative, not really alternative media, because this is the main form of media people watch, and all of this occult conspiracy stuff that used to only be talked in private is now mainstream. And you're tied to, you're just being used. You were used to vote for Trump. You are the modern equivalent of the hippies, right? So it drives me up a wall. These people are going to go on and on and on. Oh, we know all about MK Ultra and the CIA and the government's mind controlling people, and the Beatles was the Tavistock Institute, and it really was a British invasion. All those things are true. not opinion, much evidence to support it, right? But I call out my peers in this regard. We don't need you to write a book about Charles Manson. You're not helping anybody talking about how the CIA creates serial killers. You are serial killing yourself, because again, now then you get a problem with, okay, what is YouTube? What is social media? It's a tool on how to be a cult leader, is what it is. Okay? Now, I'm gonna ask that we grow up and remove that, or look at this negative connotation of the word cult, right? We think of Jonestown, a coven of witches sacrificing people. Okay? Those are lies, those are negative connotations, meaning that a cult is just the foundational structure of culture. If you you can pull up on YouTube a ton of local network news stories about how some millennial has opened up a video rental store. They sell VCRs and cathode ray tube televisions, and people come in there and rent VHS tapes, because the problem with streaming is you're like, well, I'm paying $4 on YouTube for, some 1980 Rambo movie. Well, why don't I just go back to going to the video store? And then that way I could chat with the owners, the workers, the other customers there, and discover a new movie. Like, that's where fucking Quentin Tarantino came from, working in a video store, pardon my French. So that's how much better it is to be in the real world doing something. Now and then another thing is, what I really want to do is solve this problem of internet addiction, and how this online occult, conspiracy, political, fake alt media is the hippie movement scam of today. Just like the alt-right wants to focus on social justice warriors being contrived and controlled by the Luciferian Freemasons, well, so is the info warriors, the Alex Jones, the Trump, and all that. It's all a trap, a negative use of the word cult. Oh, okay. Let's say you have a successful podcast, right? So I'm going to use my favorite conspiracy, occult, political podcast, which is Sam Tripoli's Tinfoil Hat. Now, he didn't start a trend. I guess supposedly somebody thinks Joe Rogan is funny. I find that hard to believe. But yeah, he was the supposed comedian that got into talking about all this stuff. But he's obviously a CIA plant. Okay, now moving on. But Sam Tripoli was a friend of his and was on his show. That's how he got his start. Now, when he got into this genre, I was critical. I'm like, the whole comedy scene is all CIA, obviously, because that's a main way you shape culture, just like with pop music or whatever. But really, honestly, I started to notice, man, he really does genuinely care about this stuff. There's a new guy on the scene that has the same effect, and his name is Kurt Metzger. Okay, but my point is that I started to notice, hey, I thought Sam was just coming in here as a comedian, now here's what it is. Think about this. I thought he was taking advantage of these truthers just to get people to go to his comedy events. Now, let's look at this for a moment, because what I think is that the Kurt Metzgers and the Sam Tripolis, these comedians who talk about this stuff, they are actually more virtuous, good, than the people that are just talking about ancient Greece or the OTO or whatever, because that they know what they're doing and are more honest. It's infotainment. It is giving you information, but the only purpose of it is for entertainment. Because nobody's doing anything with any of this stuff that's any good. The closest I can think of somebody, there's two examples that I will say that are positive. One of them is Jason Breshears, known as Archaics, and he was in prison for a long time, and he got into reading books. They happened to have a lot of antiquarian books at the prison where he was at. So if you want to get into books, you go check out Jason. He is an autodidactic scholar, and he'll show you, look, you want to find, if you want a Webster's dictionary, you want to have it from 1902 or before, because the information before that was a lot more independent and not controlled by people like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, that purchase and control the CIA controls the whole book publishing industry, and that controls what information is out there, and to muddy the waters so we don't have correct information. But he operates his community like a academy, like an alternative to higher learning that I think will become more and more popular, community schooling. Okay, and then another person is this guy Owen Benjamin. I forgot he's a comedian too. I don't think any of the, and let me just say this, when I say these people aren't funny, it's not them individually. It's that I think the simple fact is that after the internet came out, we all lost our social skills. So, because Owen Benjamin is a comedian, but I'll go back to Sam Tripoli. He comments, he knows that if the city that he goes to is predominantly a Democrat city, that it's going to suck, because those people have been ruined, and there's studies that show this. If you're on the left, I don't know which way will be left or right. This is my right hand, but I think this will be your left. Let's say this. If you're on the left, they think that they're tolerant and have this big open perspective, but that's the opposite. It's actually a very tight package, They're not intelligent, and they don't accept any tolerance. You either support BLM or you're racist. It's digital thinking for retards. Now over on the right, they do have a much wider, what I understood, that's the purpose of a liberal arts degree, is to develop critical thinking. And the purpose of critical thinking is somewhere, you ever watch a cop show and they bust a guy and they got these drugs, all these bags of white powder, and then the detective will poke his knife in the bag and he'll touch the white powder and he'll go, it's cocaine, right? So the idea with critical thinking is, even though I can't stand what somebody is saying, I have to be able to reduce my prejudice, my prejudging, my emotion, right? and stop. No, I'm not listening for the purpose of manipulating what you're saying. I'm listening for one reason: to receive absolutely the truth as best I can. Right? So you got to be calm, number one. Then you got to use what critical thinking is grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Right? So for example, if I'm talking about this Bluetooth speaker, okay, the grammar are the pieces. You have this that attaches it if you want to hang it. You've got the speaker grill. You've got the buttons on top, etc. You got where it plugs in. Those are the pieces of whatever it is you're talking about. And then you have the logic, which is, okay, you need to put the lanyard here. You want to have the buttons, you don't want the buttons on the bottom because that sits on the ground. So there's a logic, how the pieces of the grammar go together. Okay, and then rhetoric is what do you do with the thing, right? I can turn the volume up, I can turn it down, I could throw it in the trash, I could say you can't have these at school. Whatever it is you want to do with it. Grammar, logic, and rhetoric, that forms the trivium. That's traditionally, this is not true anymore. They've destroyed higher learning institutions. That's the whole reason why I'm here talking to the video camera, because we need to be the ones learning and teaching. So, let's see. Oh, Owen Benjamin. He is a comedian. He left Hollywood because Hollywood was dying, and he achieved all this success by getting a family. He got married, had kids. He moved out to Colorado or somewhere and got back on the land into farming, into conservative Christian life, right? Now, my best friend, Colin, he was a disciple of this, and this is many years ago now, but he was like, yeah, we call ourselves bears, and our goal is to have a kingdom called Beartaria. And I'm like, oh my God, you are literally in a cult, Colin. And I was really worried about losing him as a friend. And then he invited me to go to these bear meetups, right? Now, this has been many years ago, and these people welcomed me into their community. And the first thing I did was say, I'm not a Christian. I think that just like the left politically and the right politically are controlled by Luciferian Freemasons. Right? So the old story would be, you got a king. He's got two sons. One son, he dresses in red. The other son, he dresses in blue. The people, they're opposites and they argue with each other. The people choose which of those leaders they like. They end up getting into a war. But who dies? Do the two sons die? Hell no. All those dumbass people that followed that cult died, and they deserve to die. Because it's not your mission in life to, that's what Rome was. That's what Caesar was. It's this VIP, mafia, Donald Trump atmosphere of everybody kissing this guy's ass like he's God. So that's what network marketing can do. Affiliate marketing is fix this problem of idol worship. So anybody can become a leader by being themselves, but also falling in line with people above them that are actually achieving success. We have the choice of what behaviors to mirror. If you looked at culture and people are like on a petri dish, in science, right? If you want to do an experiment, you have these different glass or plastic clear trays. You do different things to the different cultures, and you look to see what the outcome of that is. That is how we are treated. If you're on social media It's for the purpose of this AI computer to suck all that data out about everything so that the people in charge can make decisions with a lot more certainty than you can, because you can predict the future if you destroy people's natural ability to be themselves, which is unpredictable, uncontrollable. But if you get everybody to go, I'm a Christian and my sworn enemy are these Muslims and Jews and yada yada, then you're going to end up with this war in Israel and all that. So my point in saying all that was that's the first thing I did, was go, okay, I'm going to test this cult thing. Are you going to allow me to be here and have a different point of view than you? But even though I have that, I'm here seriously wanting to cooperate with you on things I do agree with. I do want to have a wholesome community to be with. I do want to only be around these kind of people and not these people, and I want to do these things and not these things, etc. And they allowed me to continue to be there, and those people are my friends. Okay? And I only see them maybe once a season, something like that. So that is an example of people that are creating intentional community, and they're not in a weirdo cult. They would call people like me bear adjacent, right? So that's the best examples I've seen come out of that online truth-seeking world, right? But no, we've got to get, whether you're talking about affiliate marketing or whether you're talking about online truth seeking, we got to get people to go from wanting to do something to actually achieving it. Now, affiliate marketing is able to show a positive way to have a virtual community that achieves goals. Let's go back to the Sam Tripoli Tinfoil Hat podcast. Sam's making a living, and this is true of anybody that has a YouTube channel, which we said is basically teaching one how to run a cult. Now, Sam's getting something out of that for him and the people that he employs, Johnny Woodward and XG, and his family, his wife and his 2 daughters. Okay, what are you getting out of it? It's fun, man. I'm smoking my weed. Okay. And then, so I'm calling those people out, and I have been, and they're not going to like it, and I'm going to continue to, just like somebody else that's doing something about something. In reality, are these people that go do these sting operations to find pedophiles. That's doing something about something versus just a yappity yap. So yeah, I'm going to treat those online truth seekers like spiritual pedophiles, because you're robbing, you're acting just like an alcoholic. We're having to watch you commit suicide slowly. You're going nowhere very fast and over an extended period of time. So I'm calling all that out. Just like I called out the Christian Catholic churchianity bullshit that I grew up in, I'm calling all this online truth-seeking stuff out as churchianity bullshit. So that's I'm done talking about that. Now, I'm going to finish up talking about why affiliate marketing should be a tool for anybody. Okay? Because it's not just about selling products and money and all that. It's the skills of how to run a cult, how to run a virtual community, how to run a real community in real life, which is, I have to have a mentor. Russ Fye is my mentor. in business. There are no mentors in the online truth-seeking space. People have interest in certain people and what they talk about. But then once you've digested that information, you move on to another, and then notice these people, you know, if you want to complain about how certain group controls the media, well, these alternative media people are doing the same thing. All you do is each of you get a podcast, and then you have each other on your shows. It's just like a roiling of snakes having sex with each other in an orgy. That's what you're doing. You could do anything. You could go goo goo gaga, and if enough of you start going goo goo gaga, you'll start a goo goo gaga cult and goo goo gaga community, because you're goo goo gaga babies. Is what you are. And I hope I've hurt your feelings on that, so that you'll wake up out of your slumber. Yo, wake up, man, I'm enlightened. You're gonna... And then this answers the thing of, is Freemasonry bad? Is Lucifer bad? Well, Lucifer is connected to the whole... That's why you have the idea of a light bulb going off in your head. I think even with science, they can look at your brain and actually notice photonic, you know, your third eye and stuff. It transmits and receives light from the sun through your head. So no, we're not going to be afraid of light. No, we're not going to be afraid of science. This is why religious Christian people are nuttier than a fruitcake. You're going to use critical thinking, but then you're going to have this superstitious fear about the devil. The devil is just your dark side. You ever heard of psychology? You know what I mean? It's the same reason why people watch a horror movie. You watch a horror movie. And this is interesting, because I don't like horror movies, but I always wanted to make movies. Okay? So horror movies is a good way to get into movies, because people like horror movies. And even though it's considered, now this is back in the 70s, it used to be considered degenerate and loser, you know, something you didn't want to be associated with. But people started making good stories, you know, The Exorcist and Phantasm, and then you get Roger Corman, and he's all CIA, by the way, and that was a part that people can't distinguish. These are tools, and you know, if I have a hammer and I build a house, that's good. If I go around hitting people in the head with a hammer, that's bad, right? So Roger Corman, who's this back in the world of the drive-ins in the 60s and 70s, he was putting out that product. Now that was alternative media then. Now it's all on YouTube and whatever. And then strangely, like, we don't have independent movies. What happened with that? Why am I feel like I'm the only one that notices or cares about that? I used to volunteer when I lived in Seattle back in 2000 for like independent filmmaking festival, and this is in Seattle, Washington, and I was like, 99.9% of this content is garbage. These people went to film school or some crap. Sucks. So my point is that the positive reason to watch a horror movie and you're seeing some terrible gory stuff is that, you know, we all experience frustration. Understandably so, for all the terrible things that have happened in our lives. Oh, here's some from my real life. My 15-year-old son just abandoned me. Why? I don't know. Was it that we go to the movies and have a good time? Was it that we go running on trails? You know, I see the guy once a week. No, the reason why is that he's copying his mother. She divorced me. She didn't say there was any problem. I demanded that we go to therapy. She went one time and had no serious interest in it. So she doesn't communicate. Okay? And now he doesn't communicate. And then they're oversensitive, so anything that makes them uncomfortable, like, hey, you can't keep doing this. You have to communicate with me. What do you want to do, Parker? How come every time I ask us to hang out, you never can make a decision about what do you want to do? You just go along with what I want to do? Now, I understand that can happen with a parent and a child, that the child becomes the opposite. If you're a Democrat, the kid will be Republican, and vice versa, or whatever. And I understand he's in his teenage years. You see what I'm saying? Is that I bring all that up just to say we all have these problems, and that's going to cause frustration, and that gets stored in your mind and in your heart and in your body. I used to do massage therapy. I'd be massaging somebody, and they just start because it's a cathartic release. Your body stores this information, not just of your lifetime, but if you meditate, it's probably true that you could access your ancestral genetic memory that's in your DNA, that's in you. So, a horror movie is a tool, and it depends on how it's used. And this is true of anything else. And my goal is to create a network of hangouts, okay? So that people get off their phones and out of their houses and walk down the street, and there's a place there that you can be a member of. You can go in there for free, and you can join as a member, and it becomes a third space. That's the whole why Barnes & Nobles became successful in the 90s, is that you could go in there and for free you could sit down and read a book. And then everything got too liberal in society, and if you're in a big city, it'd be a bunch of homeless bums in there. And that ruins it for everybody, or whatever. And then Barnes & Nobles itself, they had to change their business model, which in the 90s, it was all about these big chain stores and expanding and all that. But now, because of the internet, people don't read as much, and we don't have the economy to support all those chains, so they had to eliminate most of those chain store retail locations, and they went back to basics, and they found the person in New York City that had the best independent bookstore, right? So it's a smaller building. Now they've networked that idea, right? So they have a smaller building, and they have more of them, so that this Barnes & Noble bookstore is for this little neighborhood right here. And the purpose of being the manager of that bookstore is to know everybody that walks through that door and figure out, what are you reading? What did you think about it? What are you looking for? So I'm telling you this because that is the main thing that we need to do, is be these curators of information, so like a librarian, so that you can be a gardener, a curator for your local culture. What do you think they should check out? What do they think you should buy for them? That's a huge lesson there, in terms that I can apply to how I would design this network of hangouts. It would be a multi-use venue. You could have people speak, musicians, acting, dancing, art shows. You could have a gym where you get physically fit, a kitchen to cook nutritious food. It could operate as a daycare and an after-school latchkey kid place. It can be a place so that we take care of our elders instead of shipping them off to some terrible nursing home to get beat up by some thug that works there for entertainment and to get back at the white man. Our problems are our opportunities. That's the horror movie that we need to look into as our own face in the mirror, my face on this smartphone, our dark heart of humanity. Because the lesson is that the devil and all the evil in life, if we learn from this experience, Chad's horror movie is, you've been trying to be successful in network marketing since you're 18 and you're 49 years old. Are you effing crazy? I have to keep continuing to live. And I have to both do what I have to do, and I have to do what I want to do. And that's true for everybody. So I hope you've gotten some value out of this. I understand it was very long-winded. That's what I'm trying to figure out how to fix. Even though I have this big picture view of the world, I don't think it's that complicated. We obviously need to have local hangouts where we positively influence each other and achieve goals. Okay? So that's the people that I'm looking for as fellow humans online, using our time valuable that way. If you are into online truth seeking, I think that the truth is that your community is rotten to the core. Just like you could easily say that of back in the 80s when it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, look how that turned out. Look how few people were able to create good content and make a living. And then how they all got strung out on drugs and where that went. And now it just replaced it with computer drugs. So that's that. And then if you're an affiliate marketer, I want you to look on my page for my mentor, okay? Forget about what you think about me. I know that Russ Phi is going to help you like he's helped me. I just shared a free training video that he's presented there. So check that out. Thank you very much. Have a good day.